This video just dropped of NBA players scrimmaging each other in LA getting ready for the season. Rising stars like Cade Cunningham, top pick All-Star Thompson. But wait, is that Joshua Primo? He doesn't have a team after an allegation we have never seen in the NBA. A Spurs employee said Primo exposed himself to her 9 times during his rookie season. The Spurs waived him 1 year after picking him 12th in the draft, but he is dead set on making a comeback. Primo knows in sports, with the right talent, you always get a second chance. But how serious was that allegation? Actually, there are disturbing details most people did not see, and it's why he's not on an NBA team already. Does he even deserve another chance? Well, if he returns, there is a list of teams who cannot wait to sign him. So Josh Primo hired a private trainer this summer to impress NBA teams. David Tyndale is an elite coach in Canada where Primo is from. Josh became a 5-star recruit in the class of 2020 with guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and Scotty Barnes. But he only stayed at Alabama 1 year, projected as a first-round pick. Most people thought late in the first round, maybe even the second round, but the Spurs shocked everyone on draft night, taking him 12th overall. But hey, the Spurs know what they're doing. I mean, they took DeJounte Murray and Derek White 29th overall, who became great. So with their second highest pick in almost 30 years, Primo had to be special. But in the offseason, every player talks about getting in the best shape of their life. I used to think, well, I mean, they have trainers and nutritionists. No, you don't need all that. A meal plan like Factor is the biggest secret weapon. Factor is sponsoring today's video. They've got gourmet, chef-created delicious meals with the best ingredients shipped right to your door. You just heat them up in under 2 minutes, no trip to the grocery store or meal prep. Just enjoy the deliciousness and go back to your busy day. I am all about calorie count. That is what I look at while picking meals. And I love that Factor has amazing dietitian-approved calorie smart meals at around or less than 550 calories. Boom. I just found out my calorie target, stuck to that for a few months, and got leaner than I ever have in my life. No NBA level nutritionist, just delicious meals delivered every week. So many options to meet my goals, and I can customize my order anytime, even skip a week if I'm gonna go out of town. So head to factor75.com or click the link below in the description. Use the code AMHOOPS50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That is factor75.com or click the link. Use code AMHOOPS50, it's 50% off your first Factor box. So they sent him to the G League where Primo started making noise. A Spurs insider said he knows he will be great and he just needs to take the steps one at a time on his way to becoming a star. Photos came out showing his body transformation. A skinny kid in college, but had muscle gains as the youngest player in the NBA. He also grew 2 inches, 6'4" on draft day to 6'6" after 1 season. Primo's biggest strength was 3-point shooting, but he was developing as a playmaker. Rumors said he was the Spurs point guard of the future. Then a huge trade went down, sending out all-star DeJounte Murray, a clear sign of how much they believed in Josh Primo. San Antonio then committed to his over $4 million contract, but suddenly 18 days later cut him from the team. This came out of nowhere. Everyone started speculating at what happened, but the next day, Woj dropped a report that Primo had been accused of exposing himself to multiple women. Normally, when something like that happens, the team will just suspend the player to investigate, but the Spurs were obviously convinced. Then Shams said Spurs psychologist Hillary Coffin was suing the team, saying Primo exposed himself to her 9 times, but the Spurs did nothing. Primo denied all this, but something didn't add up. Why would an employee keep seeing someone who exposed themselves that many times? I mean, after like number 3 or 4, you'd refuse to see him, but 9? Her lawyer said the Spurs were willing to sacrifice Dr. Coffin to keep what they hoped would one day be a star player. But once Primo's conduct entered the public sphere, the Spurs were forced to act and released him. But coach Greg Popovich strongly disagreed.
You know, anybody that has observed the Spurs over a very long period of time knows that an accusation like this would be taken very seriously, without any doubt whatsoever, no equivocation. The Spurs organization would be on top of it.
So tons of fans said they believed Primo. He didn't do this, and if he did, it was an accident. But then they noticed a potential smoking gun. A Reddit user made a post the day Primo got waived. Nobody's gonna believe this, but I know someone who works at the Four Seasons in Minneapolis, and apparently he exposed himself to housekeeping. Now, come on. Number one, this is a Reddit post. Number two, I know someone who said blah, blah, blah. But this was one day before we found out why he was cut. This person said he exposed himself a day before it was even announced. It wasn't proof, but Primo was losing a lot of his fan support. It's now been over a year since all this happened. Primo has laid low, but he hasn't been charged with a crime. The Spurs settled that lawsuit for an undisclosed amount of money out of court. He was also suspended by the NBA, but is now cleared and able to sign with any team he wants. At the time of the allegation, ESPN said many NBA teams remain intrigued with Primo's talent and potential, but are searching for a more complete understanding of the situation as they weigh the possibility of placing a claim to acquire Primo. They are obviously still excited about his skills, and Primo is showing them he is ready for a second chance. But does he even deserve it? I mean, we have never seen a problem like this, and obviously he has serious issues. At the time, he blamed things on past trauma and said he checked into a mental health facility, but we have no idea if he has done the work to get his problem in check. The worst part is bringing him in could put female employees at risk of future abuse. I believe in second chances, but would have a real hard time bringing him in if I was an NBA GM. But if you have talents, you always get a second chance. It's the dirty little secret of pro sports. Miles Bridges, convicted of felony domestic violence, abusing his girlfriend in front of their child, back on an NBA roster a year later. In 2000, a player named Ruben Patterson tried to rape his kid's nanny, was found guilty, but played 8 more years in the league because, hey, he was a talented 24-year-old. Primo is just 20 and was supposed to be key to the Spurs' future with Victor Wembanyama. So if his friends in the NBA have embraced him back to play in the offseason, you know that they could go to their front office and say, hey, Primo's looking pretty good out there. But who would actually give him that second chance? There are 4 teams on this list that I think would. First is the Utah Jazz. They only have Colin Sexton at point guard, who has experience already sharing the load with another guard, Darius Garland. Next, the Houston Rockets. They just drafted Amen Thompson, I know, but they are loading up on young players and they've got minutes for Primo to show out. Then the Brooklyn Nets need a young point guard. Right now it's Ben Simmons and veteran Spencer Dinwiddie. Cam Thomas is a 2-guard. But the Washington Wizards are a fit too. They signed Tyus Jones, who is amazing, but he's already 27 years old. Whoever signs Primo is gonna give him a short minimum contract to prove himself on and off the court. He will try to resurrect his career and get a big payday somewhere. The best case scenario is he has learned his lesson, ends up having a great comeback with 0 future victims. But if the Spurs were right, somebody might luck into a franchise level player. Now, a superstar who was at those offseason workouts was Giannis Antetokounmpo, impressed by the young guns in LA. Look at Giannis on the sideline talking to his Bucks teammates. But before that, he gave an explosive quote about leaving the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, we have heard that before from Giannis, but this time he is serious.